Okay. Do you want to do the intro to the episode or do you want me to do it?
I can do it.
Okay. Take it away.
Hi, welcome to Literary Lushes with your host, Megan.
And Samantha.
And today we are reviewing the book Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson.
Yes, ma'am. It is the first book in the Mistborn trilogy series. I think there's a couple spin-offs after that, but
I saw that there's a total of like 7 books altogether now or something like that.
Yeah,
don't quote
like
me.
That.
I know it's more than 4.
But less than 10.
Oh, yeah.
So, we know what we're talking about.
As per usual.
And for those of you who are stuck in quarantine and don't want to drink alone, we are drinking the Survivor cocktail, inspired by the survivor himself, and it will knock you on your little Mistborn butts.
Yes, it will.
Do you want to do a quick recap? I know we say we're going to start doing that, and I realize we forget 90% of the time.
Yeah, we can totally do a recap. I'll leave that up to you, and I'll jump in where I think you missed something. How about that?
Okay. Mistborn, the Final Empire, it takes place in some sort of alternate reality where the world is being run by this entity known as the Lord Ruler, and it's some guy who has been around for 1,000 years or so, and he has just continued to rule civilization, and everybody thinks he's basically like a hard-ass dictator god. There are the Ska population, who are the working class and are essentially like indentured servants in a lot of ways. And then there's the nobility. And the nobility class stems from the people who helped the Lord Ruler achieve his status 1,000 years ago. So all the nobility are descendants of the original people who supported the Lord Ruler, and all the Ska are everybody who wasn't involved. Okay, so in this Lord Ruler world, everything is like brown. All the plants are brown. The sky is brown. Red. Yeah, it's just nothing can really grow. There's ash mounds that just continuously churn out ash to the point that you have to shovel it away every day. And at night, the world is covered in mist, and the Ska are typically afraid of the mist.
Because they were told to be afraid of the mist.
Yes. And in this world, you typically have to be a nobility. People can have allomatic powers, if I'm pronouncing that right, which means that if they ingest a certain kind of metal, they can burn that metal and enhance a specific ability of themselves. For example, pewter enhances your strength, so you can become like the Hulk. Tin enhances your
vision and hearing.
Vision, hearing, and I think feeling too, right?
Yes. It like enhances your senses.
Your senses. Steel, you can is it push or pull? I don't remember. On other metal to fling you or that object around. Most people are Mistings, which means that they can only burn one metal.
One type of metal. There's gold, which is where you can see your different selves if you had taken a different path.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was the copper, which shielded people from seeing you using
metals.
And
then there's the metals that you can burn to riot emotions. So if you tell somebody's like kind of annoyed at something, you could riot their emotion and make them really angry about that issue. And there's also the converse of that, where you could soothe people's emotions. So the metals go hand in hand, where, there's like the plus and the minus for pretty much all of them. And if you're special enough that you could burn all the metals, you are called a Mistborn.
Yes.
So.
And you got a special cloak.
Yes, you got a special cloak because you would go out in the mist and the mist would protect you.
I
And
want one of those
yeah,
quotes.
right? Me too. And Vin, our main character, she was a street urchin, grew up on the streets, and finds out she is a Mistborn, from Kelsier, if I'm pronouncing
Mm-hmm.
that right, who has this grand plan to overthrow the Lord Ruler. And he puts a crew together and includes Vin in his crew because she's the one who's going to infiltrate the nobility inner circle. And the story kind of continues from there. How did I do with my super short 5 minute
I think you
synopsis?
did way better than I could have because I would have been like, oh, and then this happened, and don't forget about this and this. There's a lot to this book.
There's a lot.
659 pages worth. Um, I think that's how many pages it was, something like that.
But
Uh,
it's a great book, and I want to
oh,
thank, it, it's my cousin's friend. I like to think we're friends too, Nikki, for recommending the book to me.
yes, Nikki, it was great. I enjoyed it a lot. Thank you.
Yeah. And you get a lot of lovable characters too. Some not so
Yeah.
lovable, some very lovable. I loved Vin.
You know what I loved the most about her?
She was unapologetically herself.
There's that, yes, but also she didn't like you obviously get a sense that she's extra special. But she still fails. So she's not like what does Ray like to say, a Mary Sue, where she does everything perfect. Like she still fucks up, she still makes mistakes and still like gets knocked on her ass and she like almost dies.
Multiple times.
Yeah. Which I love. I love that she has flaws and it shows. Where some, female characters are like, "Oh, she's perfect and everything she does is absolutely right." So, I liked that about this character Vin.
I also like that even though she messes up sometimes, she still never really has an issue trusting her instinct and just knowing,
Yes.
like, this is what my gut is telling me to do, and I'm going to do it, even if everybody else thinks I'm insane.
I will say again, this is the spoiler alert part. Man, did they ever Game of Thrones that shit? They like killed off people like left and right, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's where we're going with this."
I mean, it makes sense, right? So, like, if they're planning to overthrow the Lord Ruler, a bunch of people are going to have to die, or else it's not very believable.
I know, but I would have expected like Ham or Breeze to be the ones that died. Like they're important, but they weren't as important as other people.
Are you talking about Kelsier? Kelsier?
Yes. Yeah. Can't say his name, so it's just kind of like vague.
I think he had to
No.
die. I feel like that was part of his plan all along, and I feel like he
I'm glad he didn't do anything weird with Vin. Can I just say that?
yes, because for a while I was like, is it going to be this weird romantic relationship? Like he's like
That's what I
double her
thought.
age.
That's what I thought. I was like, oh, this is gonna be weird. But then it didn't. And then he talked about like how he saw her more like a daughter. And I'm like, oh, okay. Felt like you could have established that in the beginning there. But okay, this is where we're gonna go. But I did enjoy it. And then I was like, oh, so we're not gonna I know you don't like romance, but I was like, oh, so we're not gonna get any romance. And when they brought in
Ellen.
Ellen, I was like, okay, this is gonna be kind of cute. And I'm like, oh, but he's gonna be like a complete jackass. Like, I really didn't think like I think his character surprised me more than anybody else's because I was like really expecting him to be just a douche.
I liked Ellen's character because I was like, man, if I was a nobility and forced to go to balls and play the game,
That's how we
that's
be.
how I would be. I would sit there with my stack of books and on spite and be like, I'm here. What do you want me to do?
Yeah. Oh, the ball things with the two of them was just my favorite. Like, I loved those scenes where he was just like sitting there and she's like, excuse me. She's like, no one's gonna come up to me if you're sitting here. And then she like later was like, oh yeah, we're friends or our families are friends, and he's supposed to be here watching me. Like, I don't know, just and then he got mad when she said that. Like, it was great. I love there I go again with my it was
It was great.
great.
It was so
Um,
great.
I gotta look up different words than great.
It was
Uh,
stupendous.
I loved their interactions, which is why I was expecting there to be a uh
Sex
what's the word?
scene.
No, no, definitely
Oh,
not. a Mormon wrote this book.
Yeah,
I
no, I
definitely
know.
did check the sex scene. Um, I was expecting him to betray her. There's the word betray.
Yeah, I
Uh,
wasn't too sure, right? Because he has his like clandestine meetings with his bro friends about how if they were ever in power, it would be so much better. But then like when he gets the opportunity to be involved, it's questionable.
oh yeah, like I really thought he was just all talk. I swear I did. And then when they were like, "Nope, he's chasing after," her," I'm like, "Oh." And then he even knew she wasn't who she said she was, which intrigued him more. And I was like, "Oh,
Hmm.
okay." Like he really was. His character surprised me in the end. I did not think that's where they were going with him, and I was genuinely happy that they took the route that they did.
You know who I was also surprised about? Marsh.
I knew you were gonna say March. I was too.
And like my
I
heart breaks for him at the same time.
yes, it just what he's got to live with now is kind of shitty. I don't know. Having spikes through your eyes does not sound fun.
Could you and okay, so I was trying to picture it, right? Because in the descriptions, it makes it seem like the spikes go through your eye and out the back of your skull. So they obviously penetrate the back of your skull, which would make sleeping just a fucking nightmare.
Oh yeah, you got to sleep on your side. There's no there. That's it.
Yeah, but I was trying to like when I was trying to visualize what it looked like, I was like having issues because I'm like, how long are these spikes? Is it like just like you see like just the nub of the tip coming out of the back? Or is it like a huge spike and then they have what, like eight, nine, 10 spikes in them? So it's like, do you see any of the other ones or are they all hidden under like the cloak that they wear? Like I was kind of,
That's a good
you
question.
know,
I was imagining the eyes like huge ass, like rounded cone spiked styles in the front,
yeah, that's kind of what I
and
was
then
picturing too.
short little ones in the back, and then the chest like little ones that like just enough to go through the body, just to barely be there because no one's ever known about the chest ones. So it's got to be hidden pretty well.
Yeah. Could you imagine one of those things chasing you? Ugh.
Oh hell no.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining these big old tough guys, and the simplest way is just to pull the spike out of their back.
Yeah,
Like
if you could get to
all
it.
these years, all these years, no one's ever figured that out.
What about the obligators? I thought it the whole nobility way of life and like the political aspect of the story was really interesting. And I thought it was funny that the obligators are servants of the Lord Ruler, and then like their stature you could kind of tell based on the tattoos around their eyes, but that they
Yes.
would be at the balls and they're basically like our version of a notary where they would
Yeah.
show up and be like, okay, yep, this happened, I attest to it, okay, bye. And I thought that was like
Yeah.
very interesting.
Okay. And now remind me again. I know I just read this, but I already forget. Thank you, drink. Was it them or the Inquisitors that were the ones who wanted to take over the ministry?
I think it was the obligators because the inquisitors seem like
Okay, that's what I thought.
the inquisitors almost seem like they don't really have,
Any real thoughts or plans? They just do what they're told.
yeah, like they don't it doesn't seem like they have free will. It seems like once they are created, then they kind of just follow,
Right.
what the Lord Ruler is supposed to be or wants them to
Yeah,
do.
and I totally knew that they were trying to get Finn so that they could overthrow and take the ministry over. I knew that. Like I don't even think I got to that part, and I'm like, I already know why they're looking for her, and I'm like, they already have a separate agenda. I didn't know what the agenda was. I will say that, but I knew that they were definitely trying to pull something.
I also liked, and we discussed this before, how we pronounce it. So I'm going to pronounce it because I feel fancy. Sazed, but maybe it's Sazed, or I don't know. How do you pronounce it?
I say Sazed,
Sazed.
but then if I say Sazed, but if you look at it, because it's
Yeah.
Sazed, right?
So it'd be like
And if
Sazed.
you're following, it should be the A should say its own
Yeah.
name.
It should be Sazed, like dazed and confused, Sazed.
Yeah,
But
Sazed.
um
Whatever.
yeah, right,
Sure.
exactly. Whatever. I really liked him, and I find the keepers and the terrorist people fascinating that they,
Yes.
instead of ingesting metals to burn, you can store them in
On these,
metal mines and then
Yeah.
his people focus on a specialty and dedicate their lives to learning everything about it. And I like how he would try to find religions for all of the people on the crew based on like what their interest was.
Oh yeah, that was so cute how he kept doing that. And he's like, "Do you have a new proposition for me?" Yes, it's this one. And again, spoiler alert, but I knew the Lord Ruler. Again, I kind of guessed this towards the end when they were talking about his jewelry again,
Mhm.
and then how he aged and then looked young again. I'm like, oh, he's what'd you call him? Sorry, I already forgot again.
Terrace from the like the Terrace
Yeah, yeah,
people.
that. Yeah, he's. I was like, he's totally one of them.
Oh,
But I did not get that he killed the other hero guy, and he was the servant to that
oh
guy.
yeah, Rashik killed the
Yes,
Alendi. Alendi, is that how you pronounce it?
this drink's real strong. I don't know. But yeah, so that was an interesting twist. So this book, there were some things I was able to guess, but then a lot of it was genuine surprises for me, and I enjoyed it to a point where I didn't even speed read through it like I do some books.
Same.
Because I wanted to enjoy every. That's why it took me so long to get through it, because I was like, I want to enjoy every minute of this, and it is 600
You know what I also
page book.
liked? I liked how in the beginning of each chapter you got a little snippet of what we find out at the end to be like the Lord Ruler's like journal
Yes,
or
yeah.
whatever.
At the beginning, I was like, so where are these quotes coming
Yeah.
from? Like,
But then
and there was
they give you like insight also into the chapter. So it's like if you hadn't read that blurb, then you see
yeah,
something in the chapter and you wouldn't have the full story. So you're like, "Oh, this makes so much sense."
there was something else. There was one though that I was like, I like that just as a general quote, and of course I didn't mark it because why would I have? It was a short
I
one.
mean, you only have
Let me get
697 pages to flip through, so we'll wait.
it. Well, that's very nice of you to wait for me, but no, you can go ahead and keep on going.
I was also really intrigued by the Khandra, the basically like the shapeshifters.
Oh, yeah, that is definitely not how I pronounce that in my head.
That's how
Okay.
I pronounced it in my head. I
Yeah.
could be completely wrong.
Well, and you know what's funny is I was wondering when they were talking about those little critters, the mist eater
Oh,
thingers or
mist
whatever.
wraiths.
Yes, I was like, why are we bringing these up? This is real weird. And I didn't put. I knew he had to have done some kind of like face ripping or something because I've watched enough Supernatural that I'm like, he's a
Changeling.
changeling. I was
That's
like,
the
he's
word I
totally a
was looking
changeling.
for. I was like shapeshifter, but no. Yes, changeling.
And yeah, that's what I was like, okay, but I didn't put the two and two together, which is interesting. But then they really went into detail on like he's got to devour the bones, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's
But it's really
gross.
cool though that they can devour the bones, but then and then recreate the body. But then if they need, like, it seems like they could still change it to fit what
Yeah,
they need. And like mist wraiths, how horrifying would that be? Just like walking around at night and seeing this like
yeah.
mismatch of body parts.
Oh, listen, that whole thing was
But
terrifying.
I also like that you didn't learn what the conjure was right away. Like you found out as Vin found out, which was cool.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
too.
So like the whole book, you're like, there's something up with that guy. What is it? And then you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, Marsh being alive was definitely, I think, the biggest shock.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was interesting. Here's the true question that will probably never really get answered. Do you think Mare betrayed him? Whatever, Kel.
Oh man. I
I don't think she
I
did.
don't think she did either. I
I think Vin had it right where she was like, no, he was able to find you guys based on her burning tin, and that's what he meant by thank you for helping me. And I think she felt so bad that he didn't know if he could trust her or believe that she didn't betray him, that she gave him the genoid. Is that how you say that?
Geode? Was there an N in it? I don't remember.
I don't know. Listen, this drink.
Also, like imagine being in those pits, how horrifying. You're basically in a maze underground, just feeling with like your fingers to
Nope,
find
nope,
nope.
nope.
Yeah.
I'm claustrophobic. Even reading those scenes where it's hard enough, I'd be like, I'd tell them to go ahead and kill me. They can whip me to death.
Yeah,
Fuck
just
going down in them
yeah,
caves.
I horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. Um, so if you had to pick,
Ooh, here we go.
here we go. Would you rather be an allomancer where you drink the metal or ingest the metal and burn it, or here I'm going to butcher this, ferrochemist? Is that how you pronounce it? Ferruchemist? Ferruchemist?
How you ask the person who you say can't even say the difference between Aaron and Aaron how to pronounce something.
Or wolf and woof?
It's wolf. It's wolf. I don't know
Exactly.
what.
Exactly. Um,
But yes, so I don't know why you're asking me how to pronounce something, but I think the alco, the one who drinks the metal,
an allomancer, right?
an allomancer. Yes, 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 yes. People are probably like, does Megan even read this shit? Yes, people, but I only, if I can't pronounce the word, I only read the first couple of letters, and I just call them things like that. So I call them Al, the book, because
That's
it's
funny.
like,
See, I read it and I just have like my pronunciation in my head. And if it's not correct, then I'm just fucked whenever I have to talk about it. Cause then I have to take a step back and go, wait, that's not how you pronounce it. This is the actual proper way.
yeah, no,
Um,
I usually just, especially with names, I take the first letter and I just call them by the first letter.
well, it's
So
like,
it doesn't hold me up because otherwise, if I'm reading and I'm trying to pronounce it in my head, I'll be there for all day.
well, that's why I just read it and I'm like, oh, ferrochemist. I'm rolling with that. And that's what it's going to be. So you would be an allomancer. I think I would too. Just the feruchemy or however you pronounce it. The appeal to that is if you could store it up, you could in theory store up like
Oh,
limitless power and not have to worry about burning through your metals.
yeah. And I guess the question is, do I get to be a Mistborn or do I have to be a what's it where I only get
Misting?
one?
Well, I think if you're
Because I don't want to be if I had a choice of being a Misting or the Pharaoh chemic
yeah.
something whatever, I'll take the ferochemic one or whatever because
Right.
you can have more powers. But if you're a misting, you only got the one shot, which I mean, it would be cool if you had certain ones. But I mean, if you end up being a misting for like,
Copper.
yeah, like that's fucking
Or
lame.
bronze is the one where you could see who's burning, right? Which is like cool, I guess.
Yeah, that kind of has a benefit, so you can see who's trying to soothe you. But other than that,
Which
and then you know what? No, they never said a misting about gold. Did you notice that?
maybe they just haven't met one yet. I mean,
Maybe it's something in the next books because I was like, I feel like there's something missing with this gold. This cannot be like the only thing it does. Like,
or maybe, well, no, I guess, because I was going to say, like, maybe it's one of those things where it's like, if you burn it, you wouldn't even know, if that makes
yeah,
sense, right? Like,
yeah. Like she didn't know she was even doing hers. Some of them,
right.
she only knew about her luck one. The other one she didn't know, but I know that was only because the only metal she was ingesting was what they provided in the cups and utensils and stuff.
Hmm. Yeah. So if you could pick one, if you had to be a misting,
Hmm.
I know, I don't know what I would pick.
I think I'd want to be a soother.
Soother, like
I don't know if
breeze.
that's actual. Yeah, that's a pretty powerful gift to be able to suppress some people's certain emotions and then make them really. I feel like that could be as it's not as physically powerful, but if you can change someone's mind, you can do a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, whatever. What's the other one for steel? Iron?
I think so.
I guess there's really no point in having one if you can't have the other for pushing and pulling because I'm like, oh
Yeah.
man, it'd be so cool to be able to like drop a coin and push and then like fly through the air. But it's like,
But
well,
then you can't come back
yeah,
down.
if you can't control your way down.
Yeah.
Um, I think,
And then in a fight, you can only push people away or pull them into something. Like,
I mean, I think tin would be cool also.
tin would be kind of cool.
Yeah, because I wear glasses and that'd be cool. But also just like if you're in the dark, you'd be able to
Yeah.
see and hear. And then like it increases your other senses, like your sense of touch, which could be fun. Wink.
I was actually thinking that. I was like, they never mentioned other,
Other
like,
uses.
yeah, I'm imagining how awesome that would be. And then even taste. Like, imagine, like, you eat something that you find delicious, but then you eat it when you're burning that.
Oh my
Like, it would,
gosh. Yeah, I'd probably just die.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
So maybe 10.
you can tell what we think about sex and food.
And just like that, all the Mormons are gone. Hello?
Oh, then I wonder if does it get you more drunk?
I don't know cuz it enhances your senses, but I don't necessarily think it would enhance the
Because if you ingest something
yeah, I don't know.
like alcohol, it makes you, I don't know. Maybe these are things that get discussed in the next books.
Speaking of a tin burner, Spook, I'm so glad they translated his street talk because I would read it and I'm like, what is he talking about?
When the hell did they actually translate it? Because even the translation, I'm like, what?
Well, it'd mostly be like Vin being like, he's saying this, and you're like,
Oh,
oh.
oh, well, that those, yeah, but like most of it, they don't do that. And I'm like, what the fuck is he saying? And I thought it was funny when they were all going around saying something because it was Breeze, I think, who couldn't understand them.
Hmm.
He's like, God, man, speak English, and then everybody's like, what's a wits and this and that, and they're all like, really, I hate
Yeah,
you
they
all.
they all start slipping into that street slang, and he's like, fuck you guys, I'm going home.
I was like, oh my God, that was so, I loved how they did stuff like that. Like you could see the camaraderie
Hmm.
between them just in interactions like that. And yeah. And then the fact that they kept saying, Miss, can you put some clothes on? She's like, it's just shorts and a shirt. Like I wear less than this in my, ska outfits. And they go, yeah, but it's not the point. These are undergarments. And that's just. And so she's like, I don't get it. Cause I'd have been the same way. I'd have been like, what the fuck are you guys worrying about? It's the same fucking thing. I wear less stuff and doing other crap. And then when Ellen
That's what I
said
think.
it to her, he's like, I can't. He's like, can you please just go put on your clothes? I can't concentrate. I was like, oh my God, that's hysterical.
I like when she's like when they have to like let her hair grow out and they're doing the makeup for her first ball, and
Oh
I
yeah.
like pictured one of those like cheesy makeover scenes from like any 90s movie ever.
Oh my God, that's great. Oh,
So casting, can I tell you a few of my thoughts?
absolutely.
Okay, so Ham. By the way, I love that he just walks around in fucking shorts and a vest, no shirt.
Yes.
So I
So,
pictured Chris Hemsworth.
oh, now I have to go back and reread it.
I don't know why, but I'm like, okay, he's like this like tough guy, right? He's a thug. He burns pewter. He's like
He
strong
is
and
for sure
mighty.
strong. Okay, okay.
And but he has these deep philosophical debates, and he's also caring and funny and then kind of ridiculous because he wears a fucking vest and shorts. And for some
Right.
reason I just immediately pictured Chris Hemsworth.
That's awesome.
So that's who I would cast for Ham. For Breeze, rest in peace, I pictured Philip Seymour Hoffman.
That name sounds familiar.
Look him up. Look him up.
I am. I was imagining the bald guy from Game of Thrones.
The bald. Could you be a little bit more specific? There's a lot of people.
The bald eunuch guy who does the
Oh,
whispers.
oh. Yes, yes, yes.
That's who I imagined as Breeze.
I could see it. I could see it.
So, especially because he kept calling for the wine and he's like this and that, like that. That's what I just imagined. And the manipulation kind of that's who I was meant to expect. Go ahead. So,
Yeah,
who'd you next?
I don't know why I pictured Philip Seymour Hoffman. I don't know. I guess just
I could see
like
that.
his like the roles he played collectively in my mind.
Yeah, I could see that.
So for Kelsier,
Who did I really imagine him as?
I mean, no big deal. He's only the survivor.
I know. So I was like, it was like hard to think of.
I can tell you who I thought.
Okay, I think I just kind of made up someone in my head. I don't think there was any one person I had in mind.
Have you seen Robin Hood Men in Tights?
Yeah, one of my faves.
Okay, Carrie. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Elwes, the guy who plays Robin Hood.
Carrie Ellis.
Ellis, yes.
Yes, he would be great. I love him. He is the most underrated actor.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I see him in, I love him. He was in Princess Bride.
Princess Bride.
He was in an Ella Enchanted, which is a horribly goofy movie that I absolutely guilty pleasure love. But he's been in a lot of things, and every time he was also in Twister. Everything I've seen him in, I loved.
Yes, I picture him as Kel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I like
Did
it.
you have anybody in mind for Cal or for Ham?
I think I made those two characters kind of up
Mm-hmm.
because you know what? I've been watching you know what my problem was?
Mm.
I've been watching Castlevania.
Oh my gosh, we just finished that the other day.
So I kind of was thinking of Trevor, but he wasn't smiling a lot. So it was kind of hard to like find someone who's like goofy smiling and happy. And I don't know. Kessler was hard for me to imagine a real person. But now that you said, you know, else, I was like, oh, that actually would be pretty good. And I did the same thing with Sazed or Saz or however you say it. I imagined the one guy from Castlevania. Um, I know I'm not doing a very good job explaining which one. The one who came
Oh,
from
Isaac?
yes, Isaac. Oh my god, why could I not think of Isaac? That's who I was imagining. So half of my people were animated and the other half were not in my head. I don't know. Something clearly wrong with my brain.
For Marsh, I pictured Mark Gatiss. He played Mycroft Holmes in the Sherlock Holmes TV
Yes.
series.
Yes.
Um,
That's a good.
yeah, I'm like, I don't know, like borderline
Can you see
evil brother who's not evil but like seems evil. Like, I don't know. I kind of like pictured myself as Vin, right? Because she's like
of course we all
the
do.
main protagonist. I didn't really
Yeah,
have anybody in mind for Ellen.
I did.
Okay, who'd you have?
Zac Efron.
I I could kind of picture someone like, I mean, he's a little bit older than us, but we rewatched Community recently.
Oh god, I love
Donald Glover, who
Okay.
played Troy in Community.
Yeah.
He's also Childish Gambino, and it's like his character Troy in Community. On the surface, he's like an idiot jock, but then he'd have this like great commentary where you're like, oh, he actually like knows what the fuck he's talking about. It's like a picture, maybe like someone like that. What was like Kel's like right hand man?
Dachshund. Are you talking about Doc?
Doc? Is that
Yeah, it's Doc.
oh Dachshund.
Yeah.
Who oh my god, I just blank I can visualize his face, but now I can't think of his name. And that's really not helpful. So pass because I don't know. Unless you have
God, there are some good looking actors. Jesus, I forgot all about all these actors. I like Googled like men actors and I'm like, oh,
men actors
beautiful sea.
done.
Yeah, beautiful sea of people. Who are we looking for? Doc. Okay, no, these people are too beautiful for Doc. That would have been an interesting person for Saz. Is your Aquaman guy? What's his face?
Jason
Jason
Momoa.
Momoa.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. John Travolta would have been a great king leader.
Lord
He would
Ruler.
have done that role. Yeah,
King leader.
whatever.
Okay, I remembered who I thought of for Doc now.
Okay.
The guy from Game of Thrones who is Stannis Baratheon's right hand man, the Onion Knight. What was his name?
Onion Knight?
Yeah. Hold on. I'm Googling. Davos Seaworth.
Why is that? Okay, hold on. Davos.
And he was played by Liam Cunningham.
Who'd you say?
Liam Cunningham.
Oh, I think it's Lamb Cunningham. I was like, who the fuck? Yes, he would be a great Doc.
Yeah, that's who I
Yes.
pictured.
Yes. I will concur with that one.
Okay, so we did Cal, we did Doc, we did Ham, we did Breeze, we did Says.
Actually, you know what? I think I want to change my Kel.
Cal?
You know the guy? Yeah, did you ever watch the show Jane the Virgin?
I saw like the first season and a half, and then it just got too
Okay.
ridiculous.
Yeah, okay. So you've seen this actor, the main guy that Jane doesn't sleep with, but has his
Her
baby.
boss or whatever?
Yeah, yeah.
Raphael?
Yeah. That'd be a good one.
Oh, okay.
That would be another good Saz. Is what's his face that plays in Thor that rules the gates?
Idris Elba.
Yeah, there you go. That one.
Mm-hmm. He's a badass actor.
Yeah, he'd be good Saz.
I could also see him being a badass clubs, although like not like clubs I kind of visualize old, but I could see him being like a badass clubs too.
Yeah.
What about Spook? Do you have anybody in mind for Spook?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
I really didn't have I did not do well on coming up with people, but I did have the girl. What's her face? Good job, Megan. On remembering names.
Shan, the one that she brutally murders.
Yeah, that one. Who did I imagine for that? Oh, who was it? I was like, oh, that's good. I can't remember now. Yeah, I know. I'm so bad. I should have wrote it down.
Do you remember what she was in? What she looks
No,
like?
no, she was young and blonde.
Young and blonde?
Yeah, that narrowed it down a lot, didn't that?
It's not the girl who plays Sabrina in The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, is it?
No, because I can't get. I think I watched the first 2 minutes of that, and I was like, and I'm done.
Really? Oh, it was so good. So good. Speaking of that, the actor who plays Ambrose would make a great Spook. Chance Perdomo, I think, would make a charming Spook.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Is there any other crew members we left out?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think we hit all of them, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The Lord Ruler, young or old?
I already picked two. Who did I say? I just said
I
somebody a
know,
little
but I
bit
just
ago.
was really focused on the fact that you called him the King Leader instead of the Lord Ruler.
Synonyms here. Synonyms.
Oh, man.
That drink was strong.
Okay, so for today's Conscious Corner during quarantine, we're going to talk about being healthy.
Making sure you get your exercise in, whether it's just simply walking down the street, which you've never done before, in a safe neighborhood, or, watching video workouts. So, yeah, so we're just going to talk a little bit about exercises and things we've been doing to stay healthy.
I know I'm staring at my water bottle like longingly, but it's really big and cumbersome and I don't want to deal with it. So I have that on one side and I'm doing really good on my diet. I have Cheetos on my other side.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I know, you're like killing it. Every time I look at your Facebook, it's like, oh, I did a push-up and I did this and like 600 squats. And I'm like, okay, knock it off.
So my trainer, which usually I'm not that obnoxious, but my trainer is doing an 8-week challenge. And if you win, you get $1,000.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to do 600 squats?
Like 20 minutes.
Jeez, that's so impressive.
And so there's only I think 10 people doing the challenge right now. So I'm like, I have a decent shot here. And it's obviously I just want to get in shape. That's why I did it, because I'm competitive with myself. But then I'm
right
knowing I'm in a competition with other people.
$1,000. When you're thinking okay, I'm going to stop here. I'm tired. You go, nope, that ain't going to give me my $1,000. And you're going to do 8 more squats.
Exactly. So
I get exhausted. I've been doing a lot of running around because of the new puppy. And because in order to sit at my computer for 4 straight hours without him needing me, I have to tire the fuck out of him. So I go outside and we run around and we play really hard for 15 minutes. And then we come inside and he passes out for a good 4 to 6 hours.
Yep, that puppy life cycle, man.
So, but then we have to get back up and go out and do it again. And I'm like, oh my God. So when I used to work at the office, I would just sit for 8 straight hours. So this is definitely new. So I'm hoping I can lose a few pounds just by having a new dog. But I really do need to pick up my actual working out. So on the weekends, I usually walk around the block, which is 2.7 miles.
Ooh.
Which isn't that bad. So that's what I've been doing.
So our next episode is going up on April 30th, where we're going to be talking about the book Dune by Frank Herbert, which was recommended to us by my brother, Zach. And that is also the day of his birthday.
Oh, we totally planned that. What are you talking about?
We may have planned that, and I just completely forgot. So
your awesome recommendations that you keep doing.
Yeah. Thanks for supporting us on Patreon. Maybe one day. Wink. Hint.
Yeah,
hint,
dude.
Cough. Nudge, nudge. We want to take a second to give a shout out to our patrons who are so gracious to still support us in this wild and wacky time that we're going through. So thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Angela.
And thank you, Julie. As we like to say,
Stay lively with your libations.